The world of boxing has seen many legendary fighters, but these 10 heavyweight boxers stand out as the greatest of all time, each leaving an indelible mark on the sport with their skill, power, and unforgettable moments in the ring. 1. Muhammad Ali. Boxing record. 56-5. Who else but this man to top this list? The words float like a butterfly, sting like a bee, rang true with so many in the world of boxing, and still do to this day. Ali not only goes down as one of the greatest to ever compete in the world of boxing, but he goes down as one of the greatest sporting personalities. Facing off with some of the greatest in the sport, some of whom are on this list, was exactly how Ali made himself to be a name that would circulate for generations to come. No one likes boxing without liking Muhammad Ali. 2. Joe Louis. Joe Louis goes down in the sport's history as not only one of the greatest ever heavyweights to lace up a pair of gloves, but also one of the hardest punchers to ever take up the sport. After racing to a 24-0 record, Louis would lose his first fight in 1936, before then going on a 14-year unbeaten streak to take his record to an incredible 58-1. Defeat to Ezzard Charles was then followed up by 8 consecutive wins, before his final appearance in the ring took place in 1951. Ironically enough, his final fight in the sport came against the man featured just before him on this list, Rocky Marciano, with the contest ending in defeat for Louis via TKO in the 8th round. 3. Rocky Marciano. Rocky Marciano is the only member of this list to have gone his entire career undefeated. After defeating Joe Louis for his heavyweight championship, the only way was up for Marciano, who went on to retire with a career record of 49-0. Of those 49 wins, Marciano won 43 of his fights via knockout and could stake a claim higher on this list. For only 6 fights to go the distance is quite remarkable, so it's only right that the American lands so highly on the list of greatest heavyweights in the sport's history. 4. Jack Johnson. Jack Johnson made history as boxing's first world heavyweight boxing champion of color, with his 1910 fight with James J. Jeffries dubbed the fight of the century. Johnson competed at the height of Jim Crow's boxing era, with Johnson losing his title in 1915 to Jess Willard. The era of boxing has bizarre events noted during his matches, with his final fight with Brad Simmons seeing both men barred from ever competing in Kansas again. Due to the era that he boxed in, Johnson has plenty of unofficial fights under his belt as well, but it's believed his professional record stands at 94 fights, 54 wins, 11 losses, 8 draws, and 4 no contests. The other 17 fights on his resume are classed as newspaper decisions draws, which are officially regarded as no decision bouts and are not counted in the win-loss-draw column. 5. Larry Holmes. Larry Holmes may have felt some pressure on his shoulders with the expectations placed on him to emerge in the world of boxing. Holmes was once a training partner of the great Muhammad Ali, and his sparring sessions must have come in handy as his skill gets him on this list, too. His crowning achievement comes through his 19 consecutive title fight victories over 7 years. Just like Foreman, he also built up an incredible unbeaten run, heading into his fight with Michael Spinks with a record of 48-0. However, what followed was 3 straight defeats, 2 to Spinks and 1 to Mike Tyson. He did then recover and win 6 in a row before losing to Evander Holyfield. His last fight came in 2002, which was a victory against Eric Esch. 6-year hiatus from the sport, he returned with an astounding accomplishment of 24 straight victories, 22 of which came through knockout. Sadly, however, his career ended in defeat when he lost to Shannon Briggs in 1997 by majority decision. That doesn't take away from the fact, though, he was incredibly 40-0 heading into the huge fight with Muhammad Ali, which he lost via knockout. 7. Lennox Lewis. Lennox Lewis was an astounding combination of a man who could be agile and light on his feet while standing 6 feet and 5 inches tall. Lewis won gold at the 1988 Olympics and boasted an impressive statistic of beating every man he had ever faced in the ring, including Mike Tyson and Evander Holyfield. The 58-year-old has differed from some of the greats of his time as he has never been swayed by the temptation to return for one last dance the way some of the greats from his era have. Before Alexander Usyk achieved it earlier this year by beating Tyson Fury, Lewis was the last undisputed heavyweight champion of the boxing division, which happened way back in 1999. 8. Joe Frazier. The year 1971 saw Joe Frazier compete in what many labeled as the fight of the century, when he met Muhammad Ali at Madison Square Garden. Until he met George Foreman in Jamaica, Frazier had been on an unprecedented streak of 29 fights where he claimed victory, but results soon began to drop following that defeat. Boasting an impressive record of wins, the heavyweight only won 3 of his final 7 fights, losing 3 and drawing his final meeting with Floyd Cummings. 9. Mike Tyson. Iron Mike Tyson takes home a record of 50 wins, with 44 of those coming via knockout, and 7 losses to his name. The 58-year-old found himself going into a fight recently in a situation where he was not the sole center of attention. Both fighters were the subject of conversation for his meeting with Jake Paul, where the 27-year-old won via unanimous decision in what many blasted as a lackluster event. However, we cannot forget just how good Mike Tyson was back in his prime, and we mustn't let the shambles that was the Jake Paul fight cast a shadow over his iconic and legendary career. 10. Evander Holyfield. Evander Holyfield goes down as one man who made boxing history, but it's not for actions of his own in the ring despite being an undisputed champion. Holyfield boasts victories over names like George Foreman and even Mike Tyson, with one of his victories becoming one of the most infamous boxing moments ever as Iron Mike bit his ear, taking a chunk out of it in the process. A run of defeats when past his peak harmed his chances at ranking higher on the list, with Holyfield scoring 29 knockouts, finishing with a record of the 2nd of October 44.